The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC.
Grab a pen and paper, pin back your lug holes and sit down for 30 minutes of hopefully tip-tastic weekend previewing. It's the Racing Post Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and I'm joined by David Jennings from Paddy Power, Brendan Duke, and also here in the studio with me, my red-hot colleague, Mr. Paul Keeley.
Can you afford to miss our Racing Postcasts? Here's Paul Keeley on the Lock-Inge, winning SP 8-1.
You know, to me, I think Bilardo should be favourite if the ground is still soft. He got a right brain-dead ride last time at Sandown in the Bet365 mile. He was about a dozen lengths off the horse that won when they turned in, and Bilardo absolutely flew. He was only 2 lengths down at the line.
And here's Paul on the London Gold Cup, winning SP 7-2.
The one that interests me is Imperial Aviator. He won a maiden last time at Leicester, won it pretty easily, and the 2 horses that were second and third were the right ones in the market. You know, I think around the 10-1 mark is a great bet.
Don't miss our Racing Postcasts.
There you go, Kills. We bigged you up there, so no doubt you will find nothing but blanks now.
Absolutely, that's what normally happens, isn't it?
Have you continued your red-hot punting form into the week?
No, not really, no. It's all gone pear-shaped. I should leave the rubbish racing alone, really. You know, the lower class it is, the worse I am, but the more bets I seem to have.
Oh, well, get yourself back up because we've got some great racing. We'll start with Saturday's feature at 4:10. Saturday's feature in Britain, of course, we've got classic action in Ireland, which we will come to. But at 4:10, it's the Temple Stakes. I was thinking this could be slightly problematic to preview on a Friday lunchtime because we're awaiting rain to make sure that Mecca's Angel runs. But even though I have a fairly disdainful opinion of weather forecast, it does look like it's going to chuck it down enough for her to run. And so we'll do it on the basis that she is going to take part. And if she does, Brendan Duke, how are Paddy Power betting on the Temple?
7-4-5. The Meccas, 11-2 Muthmere, 13-2 Profitable and Wadi, 12-1 Gold Ream, 16's Bar.
Kills, you can open the batting, given how strong your current form is. What are you going to do?
This is still difficult because we do not know what the ground is going to be like. On Thursday morning it was given as good to firm with a going stick reading 9.2, which would historically be on the firm side of good to firm, but they had 9 mils overnight, and now he's called it 7.3 and good to firm. Now 7.3 historically at Haydock would be nearer the soft side of good to soft, so until we actually see a race we don't know, but there's loads of rain forecast.
Should we choose a going that we think it's going to be and then have a conversation based on that? If
they get the rain they forecast tomorrow, then it'll be on the soft side, and in which case I think Mecca's Angel will probably win.
Soft side of what?
The soft side of good. It'll be on the soft side.
Okay, so Mecca's Angel will win. Does that mean that you're just going to roam with the fav, or is there value?
No, well, I backed Wadi each way earlier in the week, and I hoped that it would stay on the fast side. Of the 2 Hamdad Al Maktoum horses, I don't think he needs it as fast as Muthmere does. So I'd imagine Muthmere would be a big drifter if you get right. Now Wadi, he's 4 out of 4 at Sandown and doesn't seem to win anywhere else. But he ran a really good race in the Palace House. It just went badly wrong for him because all the jockeys idiotically went over to the slower side of the track, and he was left, you know, in a small group, and he just tugged like mad. He needs cover. I think that's why he likes Sandown, because they all want to race the same place on the rail. So in a big field on a narrower track like Haydock, he'll get plenty of cover, and he'll settle and he'll finish well. So I think he'll still go well anyway.
So what's your summary then?
If the ground is on the soft side, Mecca's Angel will be very hard to beat, but Wadi each way is the tip.
David Jennings?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of these sprints, Bruce, I have to say. I used to love them. I used to absolutely love them, but I find I can't make head nor tail of them in the last kind of year or two. The one horse I think is probably overpriced is last year's winner, Pearl Secret, for the reason being that he's won on his debut in 2011, won first time out in 2012, won first time out in 2013. Obviously won the race last year as well. I think the time to catch him is probably earlier on in the season. Now, if the rain comes, he's the one horse you know will benefit from the easing of the ground. He's been a little bit disappointing. A couple of years ago, I thought he was going to be the absolute sprinting star, but he seems to like Haydock. If the rain comes, it'll suit him. 16-1. I think if the rain does come, I think he'll go off around 10. So if I was to have a nibble at the moment, it would be Pearl Secret.
You make a good case. Brendan Duke, what do you think will happen?
Yes, well, I think that they'll be the 2 popular horses in the betting if this 15 mils arrive, because it's hard to see. I mean, Soul Power's not running, so they obviously believe the forecast. Muthmere's not going to like it.
What does AccuWeather say, by the way?
It says heavy rain, so that tallies with the 15 mils that Kirkland's expecting. So it's those two. Wadi, in fairness, does have form with the knees in the ground, but I think he's maybe better on quick ground. I think both of those two are legitimate shouts, and both will probably shorten.
And the bet for you then is?
Well, I think Meccas will win. I think she's the best sprinter in the business with ease in the ground, isn't she?
Probably. Quite short though, isn't she? I don't know. I kind of share David's bafflement at sprints, because I mean we haven't had a predominant one. Well, we did have one last year, Muraha, but we didn't see him enough of him, and he's been packed off. So we might go back to
the last sprinter I loved was Shea. I thought he was the business, and then he fell apart. So after Shea, I just gave up.
Oh well, okay. Don't give up on us on the rest of it though, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9 to. Seems to be so many races on Channel 4 tomorrow. We're not going to go through them all because it'll take forever, but instead we're going to pick out the gold. So we're going to go meeting by meeting. So Paul Keeley, we've got 3 other races at Haydock, the 2:30, the 3:05 and the 3:40. Give us as many selections you like in them in as succinct a style as possible.
Right, okay, we'll start with the 2:30 Haydock, Saved by the Bell. Ran remarkably well for him first time out last time. Does most of his best running at York, and I don't think he's been to Haydock, but a long straight will suit. I think that will go well around about the 6-1 mark with Paddy. The bet of the day, I think, especially if the rain comes, is this Garcia in the 1 mile handicap, the Silver Bowl Stakes. He won pretty takingly at Beverley from a
God,
well.
you're using taking as well now.
Yeah, but it was.
Such a rubbish word.
No, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with
used
it?
to use words like that.
No.
You'll be saying travel kindly next.
Yeah. No, listen,
That man can say whatever he wants.
Yeah, that's true.
He impressed me.
Okay.
Paddy opened up 7s. They pushed him out to 8s. I think I might have to take a little bit of that. He's. If the ground comes, he's got 2 wins on good to soft, so I think he likes it. He's by Paco Boy, who's like the sire at the moment. This race invariably goes to something that's reasonably well fancied. It's one of those really got lots of unexposed 3-year-old handicappers, and I think that'll suit him. And I think he's probably the best horse in the race anyway.
Okay, you're gonna have a stab at the 3:40 as well or not?
3:40. I thought the Interception was quite a big price at 9 to 4. I think she's got the clear best form, and she goes well fresh. I don't really like playing these fillies races early in the season. You never know whether they train on from year to year, but she is a bit of a standout.
All right, mate. David Jennings, you can have a little bite at these 3.
Yeah, I thought Paul made a very taking argument there with his 3. To get that in. It's a bit like coming on this podcast, actually. It's a bit like going out pulling birds with Jamie Dornan or somebody after Paul in the last couple of weeks, because all anybody is going to be talking about afterwards. What the Paul Keeley tip? But anyway, here we go.
Who's Jamie Dornan?
50 Shades of Grey, that guy. Do you know the 50 Shades of Grey guy? Well, you never know any of these.
I know there is a book called that, but I didn't know.
It doesn't mean anything to me either, but actually, nor does pulling birds.
You've never heard of 50 Shades of Grey?
Well, of course we've heard of 50 Shades of Grey, but I mean, like, it's the same. Have you ever heard of Blue Peter or Sky or something? Of course we've heard of them, but it doesn't mean we know who played the part of them in the film. Anyway,
your missus has read it about 20 times, Bruce.
Get on with it.
Anyway, so here we go. Yeah, I think Paul has made a few valid arguments there. But the 3:05, I thought Chief Whip, like you said, unexposed 3-year-old, I thought it had a chance. But the one horse I will be backing, and on ratings it has no chance. But I think at 16 or 20 to 1, Cassia in the 3:40. Couple of reasons. She was quite a good 2-year-old. I liked her last year. She was 5th in the Queen Mary. She was beaten about 8 lengths by Acapulco. She beat Our Joy in a Sandown Maiden, and she was second to Bashara on her first start at Ascot. But just interested in reading Mick Shannon's stable tour. He said she's only rated 86, so I was mad for her to go for a handicap because I think she's really well handicapped. But he said she's working so well at home that we're going to go straight into a listed race. They think the world of her. They really do. If you read any of the quotes after her races, they think she's really, really good. Graham Lee is on board, and I think he's perfect for her because she can be a little bit fizzy, and Graham is great at getting these fillies settled.
Okay. A 20 to 1 stunner from DJ.
Yep.
Brendan, do you have anything to contribute to the winners pile for Haydock Park?
Okay. Well, again, it's all based on soft ground. Saved by the Bell. He won't mind the rain. And not only does he tend to come on for his comeback, but O'Meara's this season have been coming on for a run, so I'll go for him. The one down the bottom, Mojo's Marie in the Silver Bowl Stakes. She's by Archenpenko out of a Selkirk mare. Now, she's never tried soft ground, but that is a pedigree that suggests she'll relish it. Has to improve, but she's 20 to 1. You could take a chance. And the Ridge Ranger, again, rain no harm, looks sure to run well.
I don't think you can call him Mojo because his name's Mark Johnson.
Yeah,
it's a
bit of a stretch, but I just thought you'd let me. Okay, we can't.
No,
do
I
that,
like it. I like you. I like your attempts to kind of glam
thanks.
it all up. But
Yeah,
I just think that if his name was Mork Johnson, you could probably do it. Never mind.
Yeah, it's a
We
shame.
move on. Where should we go next? York. What have we got there? 240 and the 350 are both live on the box. And Kills, give us some winners.
Yeah, I find it very hard to look past the fav in the 240 Moonrise Landing. Obviously quite impressive at Lingfield, coming from miles off it on Championships Day, but not my sort of price. We'll go for the Titan Bet Spring Sprint, which is quite interesting. I've been back in Sure Step on a regular basis. He's just a very, very consistent sprinter, and I do find it interesting that he's now coming down to 5 furlongs because he always shows loads of pace and then gets run out of it at 6. I think there's only once in the past 2 years he's been beaten more than 3 lengths in a sprint every time running in big fields. So, I think he's one of those horses that deserves a win, and he deserves a shot at 5 furlongs too.
Sure Step in 350 is Kills his York. Good thing. What about you, David?
Yeah, I'm going to continue the Mick Shannon team because I thought Kazi would win, obviously, at the other meeting, and Paul has gone for Short Step. And I think I'm going to take on Moonrise Landing with Elidor. I thought that was a cracking run at Chester. I really did. It was third at Dartmouth. I thought it looked like it might win, actually, turning in, and then just kind of ran out of it. Wicklow Brave was second. Wicklow Brave is going for the Hardwick. He's a proper horse. I think on ratings, Elidor has every chance. Rated 106. Moonrise Landing is only 103. I think he'll improve for his first start of the season. I think it's got a great chance, Elidor.
I backed Elidor the other day. You're right, it did run well. Okay, Brendan, anything for us at York?
Well, the Moonrise Landing is going places in a hurry. And,
what price have you got her
at? 7 to 4.
Okay, and what price is David's Elidor?
1 moment now till I have a look at that. 4 to 1.
Okay.
And the Short Step, I wasn't sure. I priced this race, and I wasn't sure the trip drop would suit him, but it looks a terrible race for the money. So I think he might just get away with it, and he's entitled to be favoured in a poor heat.
Jolly good. We move to Goodwood, where the C4 action continues with 3 live races there. Keels, pick the bones out of them?
Yeah, interesting race. The first one, the Festival Stakes. You got 2 horses coming back from massive layoffs.
Yeah, Berkshire,
and both of them seem to have been back with Paddy Power as well. Berkshire, obviously, he hasn't run for an absolute age. He was, thought a superstar as a 2-year-old. Blew out completely in the Guineas. Won once more at the end of that season. Not been seen since. The other one is King's Fate, who was at one stage challenging for favouritism for the Ledger a couple of years ago. Then he ran a couple of times and he just pulled and went like mad, and things just didn't work out for him. But he was always really, really highly regarded. Now he's still in the state. He's been gelded. He's still in the Khaled Abdullah colours. So Sir Michael Stout kept him for 2 years. There's a reason that he's been kept. They must have had some sort of conversation. Are we going to sell this horse, or are we going to keep it? And if Sir Michael Stout thinks he's worth keeping, it might just be interesting at about 8 to 1. It'd be a guess up, but I couldn't have Decorated Knight at 5 to 2 favourite. I think this is a 4 to 1 the field, really tight sort of race.
Okay. Anything in the other 2 live races?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, every race, mate, every race. Right. In the 250, Batille, well, he just should have maintained its unbeaten record last time. We're given far too much to do.
What a cocky ride
by Jamie Spencer that day, and it should have won easily and ended up getting beaten about a length and a half. I think it was. It was much the best horse in the race. It's stepping up in grade here. It'll be harder, but I do think it's a horse to be on the right side of. 11 to 4 is probably a fair price. And in the next one, the
325,
the big 325 handicap, I think Harlech is potentially much better than a handicapper. I know he doesn't have any big race entries as yet, but we were at Lingfield when he got no sort of run from the back in that 3-year-old championship on the all-weather. He's, if he gets a run, I think he'll cut them all down. I was a bit disappointed. I thought he might be a bit bigger than 6 to 1 being top weight in this sort of race. And further down the bottom in that race is Arab Poet, the horse that Garcia beat. So when Garcia wins at Haydock, you might want to you might want to jump on this one.
Okay. It's not much of a recommendation to say a horse is better than the handicapper, because, I mean, Phil Smith's a very good handicapper, but he's not very fast, so you'd always expect any racehorse to beat the handicapper. David Jennings, your Goodwood Good Things.
Yeah, I'm taking on Paul's Halleck. I really like Strong Challenge. We've seen this season that Godolphin are taking some of these big pots handicaps and hooded for the first time, which I think is key. And you have to remember, this is the same Strong Challenge that beat Gutafan in a maiden at Goodwood last season. I think Gutafan finished the season rated 115. Only started 7-2 for the Group 2 Vintage Stakes that Galileo Gold, the Guineas winner, ended up winning, and was just far too keen that day. Just never really settled, never got into a rhythm, but got the rail the first day in the maiden against Gutafan and was really impressive. Won by a length and 3/4. Could have won by 5 lengths. I thought that day was really comfortable.
Strong
Kevin
challenge.
Scott taking off £3. That's key as well.
Okay.
And the Gate to One's a big price.
Jolly good. And any Goodwood advice from you, Brendan Duke?
I thought the Tapster, Mr. Singh, I couldn't see a whole lot of competition for the lead. I thought he'd be a dangerous horse loose off the front. And the This Is Us, he's got a good draw. He got £8 for the last day. Very impressive win though. And Marcom takes 3s off. I thought he was entitled to be fav.
Okay, excellent. Right, well, that wraps up all the Saturday stuff in Britain, but we'll be back in a mo with some Irish classic previews.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Okay, 5:40, the Curragh. It's the Irish 2,000 guineas. Galileo Gold. He's ducked out of the Derby. Well, we think he has for now. And he's going to take on Air Force Blue plus a few other progressive types in an 8-run race that is bound to have the each-way thieves circling. Looks like a decent old matchup. Although, Paul Keeley, why is Air Force Blue such a short price given how badly he ran at Newmarket?
Well, I think we've got a history of Aidan O'Brien horses running badly and then bouncing right back. So we're not exactly sure what we are. See, they're getting rid of the tongue tie this time, aren't they? So who knows what to expect? He was so good as a 2-year-old, so much better than everything else. It wouldn't be the greatest surprise in the world. But having said that, Galileo Gold, the more you look at that, the more impressive that gets to you, doesn't it? You know. So I think he's a proper horse, the right favourite, and 7-4 seems to be a fair price to me.
I thought so. Give us a quick spin of betting, Brendan.
Sure, 7-4 Galileo Gold, as you said, 11-4 second fav Air Force Blue, 9-2 Autad, 6-1 the Air Vice Marshal, 10-1 Blue de Vega, and 20's Bar.
And has he been popular, Air Force Blue, Brendan, in that kind of, I think he's back to his best and showing all the right signs in the gallop? Or is this his last run at a mile and he'll then just go back and be the dominant sprinter of the summer?
Oh, I don't know. I think people, but most people are like me. They struggle to forgive such a desperate.
Most people aren't like you, Brendan. You're uniquely wonderful, mate.
Oh, that's very, very kind of you. But in the sense that as we might say, Paul the Confessor Keeley, he's always looking to forgive a bad run, whereas a lot of people like me, they struggle to forgive. That's why
I am happy to forgive normally, but I mean, talk about Air Force Blue going back as a sprinter. He would not have won at any trip that day, would he?
No,
it was that bad.
This is it. It was just an abysmal effort, wasn't it? And of course, Tom Segal put up his theory beforehand that the horse had the tongue tie on, so he may have a wind issue. But I don't really buy that either, because why? How did that information not leak into the market? I mean, if you thought a horse had a wind issue, would he go off odds on in the Guineas? I think he just put the tongue tie on the way Dan Skelton does, just to take a variable out of thing. Maybe he plays with his tongue, or I don't know. But so it was such a disappointing run. Oh, could you forgive him? Some people will. I think that's the price we've come up with, 11-4. It'd be interesting to see how he goes in the betting.
Who do you think will win it, Brendan?
I think Autad, as you said, eight runners, looks a sweet each way proposition. I don't think that English Guineas is good form at all. I don't know, would I have that sort of a gap between Autad and Galileo Gold? I wouldn't. I think Autad is a knocking each way bet.
Okay. David Jennings, what do you think?
Yeah, it's funny, Brendan said there about the English Guineas. I was of the similar kind of opinion. Massat, Ribchester was third. I just, watching the race, I know we're all focused on Air Force Blue, but I kind of said, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if both, the first couple home really struggled to maintain the form throughout the season. It's funny on Autad, I did a piece with Chris Hayes earlier in the week, and usually, as you know, Bruce, when you're ringing these people, you're trying to get great lines out of them and you're trying to prompt them to say something, prompt them. I didn't prompt Chris Hayes at all, and he told me this is the best horse he's ever sat on. I never asked him to say anything like that. He came out with it himself, and he firmly believes that this is the best horse he's ever sat on. He's rode Soul Power, he's won a Group 1 in La Colina, so he knows what he's talking about, and he's not one of these kind of lads for hyperbole. So I would take that into account. He'll probably need to be the best horse he's ever sat on to win this race. 9-2 is probably about right. I think the way to go in this race is probably back Autad and Blue de Vega. Blue de Vega tends, might reverse the form. I think he'll get a lot closer to Autad from the Tech Rack. I think they're the two value options, because I'd be taking the top two on in the market.
Okay, interesting stuff. And it'll also be interesting to see if Galileo Gold does justify favouritism, whether they will trust his genes and go for the Derby. What do we think, Kills?
No chance whatsoever. No. Absolutely.
Actually, funny enough, talking about Kills and genes, the other week we were talking, Brendan, about the fact that you don't own a single tie, do you?
Well, actually, when I talked to my brother, who's a keen listener, because I make him listen, he reminded me that I do have a tie, actually, because I was best man at my other brother's wedding, and he made sure, but he paid for everything. So I do have a tie somewhere.
Okay, talking about Paul Killing jeans. Paul, how many pairs of jeans do you own?
Well, see, in the last few years, I've been wearing black jeans. I have never owned nor wore a pair of blue jeans in my life.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
I never will.
Isn't that brilliant? Paul Keeley, aged 47, has never, ever owned a pair of blue jeans. What do you think of that, Brendan?
Well, he's an interesting character. I mean, it's almost like a butterfly. It's week by week we find out he's just evolving from chrysalis. He doesn't listen to music, doesn't wear blue jeans, which is perhaps they're related, of course, because blue jeans play a massive part in music, don't they?
He certainly would never. His funeral song won't be "Forever in Blue Jeans" by Neil Diamond, because he doesn't like music and doesn't wear jeans. Incredible. Yeah. Slightly off piece there. Let's hear from the connections of Galileo Gold, reminding ourselves that this is a racing broadcast. So here's Harry Herbert talking about the Guineas winner.
And he's one of those horses, he's a really tough horse, tough, hardy horse. He takes his races very, very well. And you looked at it, and when we saw him after standing in the winner's enclosure in the Guineas, just very relaxed, the horse, ears pricked, not eyes popping out of his head, and he just run a very fast mile and dispatched a very talented field. So I think that's very encouraging for the future. But we'll see what happens at the Curragh and plan from there.
Okay, so to quickly wrap up the Irish 2000 Guineas, complete this sentence. Galileo Gold will, Paul Keeley?
Win.
Galileo Gold will, David Jennings?
Finish third.
Galileo Gold will, Brendan Duke?
Finish third. I like that, actually. Yeah, finish third.
Okay, right. Kills, do you want to have a dabble at the other three big supporting cards at the Curragh, or should we leave it to the chaps in the Emerald Isle?
Leave it to the chaps for the Saturday stuff, I think.
Right, okay. You're going to come steaming back in for Sunday, are you?
Yeah.
Good, I like the sound of that. Right then, David, the floor is yours.
Okay, the 6:15, the Landwade Stud Stakes, Group 2. This has been the plan for Devonshire for a long, long time. William McCreary has started the season in terrific form. His horses are absolutely bombing at the moment. If this rain comes, I really like the chance of Devonshire. How it got beaten first time out, it was at running the first meeting of the season in the Park Express Stakes, and it must have traded at 101 and running. Looked all over a winner. William Buick rode her that day, and looked to hold everything, caught in the final few strides, but just probably needed to run. I think she's a real decent filly. She's only rated 107, so Lucida, who's returning from a long absence, rated 114, has a bit to find in the ratings, but I think that's going to make her a price. I really like Devonshire in the 6:15, and it's a really good card. Brendan will tell you as well. It's a real cracker.
No, I believe you.
Sorry?
I believe you.
Yeah. Fort Deloro in the 5:05. I think improving fast. Eddie Lynham, another master at these sprinters. I thought she won very snugly at Naas last time. And the Marble Hill, always a cracker. Apparently before Caravaggio ran it, Dundalk said it's the fastest 2-year-old they've ever had in Ballydoyle, and certainly looked pretty fast that day and beat Lundy, who was impressive at Leperson the last time. Won't be a big price, but probably should win.
Lovely stuff. Brendan, what else do you like on the Curragh card Saturday?
Caravaggio, as Dave says, very hard to beat. Don't touch it, or don't touch. I just love this horse. I mean, he just keeps on digging it out, and I think he'll dig it out again. And I mean, it's so exciting to see Lucida back in training. I mean, I don't think since Wile Coyote there's been a horse with or been an animal, should I say, with as many hard luck stories. I think if she'd had any luck last year, she'd have won those 3 Group 1 races. And she, what's the story with this rain, Dave? I thought there was just going to be spotty showers, was what my app said.
Spotty.
I don't know, actually. There is rain around, so I'm just...
there's a bit of rain, Bev. There's great drying out. I have a line of washing out.
You Irish lads, you just assume it's going to rain, don't you? Because it always does.
No.
I'd love to see what's on your washing line.
Look,
the
tongs and Snickers and...
No tie. The ground will be good. Lucida will return and she will kick.
Well, you have the inside line on that stable. You have the inside line. How fit is Lucida?
Well, she'd probably be as fit as she was before the Guineas last year. She'd be plenty fit enough for these. She'll destroy these.
Are you muckers with JSB?
Absolutely.
Really?
Family ties.
Family ties. We can't get away from ties, can we? Yes, my dad knows him quite well. I could probably get an audience with him if I wanted.
Oh, excellent stuff.
Yeah.
Right,
We have to get Brendan Jukes Jr.'s dad on this show, Bruce. That will be.
Yeah. No, but I mean, we've got to address this Jim Bolger issue because it's 2 years now since he spoke to us, David. Are you the man to go and thaw him out and build the bridges, do you think?
Yeah, well, I get on quite well with Colin O'Rourke, who's Jim Bolger's right-hand man, so I might have a quiet word with Colin, a GA legend in Mead, try and get him back on side.
All right, good luck with that. Right, 1 bet each for Saturday.
This will not be beaten.
Go on, David.
I was going to say Devonshire, but Brendan has put me off because Lucida will probably, if Lucida's back to her best, she'll win that. So I'm going to go for strong challenge in the 325 at Goodwood.
Paul Keeley?
Yeah, Garcia, 305 at Haydock.
And Brennan Duke.
Moonrise Landing, 240 in York.
Sunday at the Curragh coming up.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Hi there, welcome back. It's Bruce Millington, Paul Keeley, David Jennings, and from Paddy Power, Brendan Duke, and we're looking ahead to Sunday at the Curragh. And at 1:55, it's the Tattersalls Irish 1,000 guineas. A, why can't I pronounce Tattersalls? And B, David Jennings, why the hell is this race taking place at 1:55 on a Sunday lunchtime?
It is tricky to pronounce because for up until about last year, I used to think it was Tatterstalls. So it's not. It's actually Tatterstalls, which I thought was strange. It's so early, I would imagine, because a couple of things. The Irish Open Golf is on in Strafford and the K Club, so I presume they didn't want to clash them for television reasons with that. And there's also a lot of GAA on Sunday. This is only a complete guess, but I'd say they're the main reasons why it's so early on the card. Television has a big part to play, RTE. So obviously we have the 2,000 guineas very late on Saturday and the 1,000 guineas very early on Sunday. So I'd imagine that's why. That said, it looks all over. Looks minding. There's 14 runners, but what price is she, Brendan? Have you chalked it up yet?
Yeah, 4 to 11. We only just put her up. We didn't think she was going to run.
Yeah. Like, I think it was a setback with Ballydoyle. I spoke to Aidan a couple of times during the week, and never once did I get the impression that Minding was going to run. I don't think it's a type of auteur situation at Cheltenham. I think genuinely, there is valid reasons why Ballydoyle is not running. Fair play to Tony O'Hare. First of all, he broke the story at 8:30 this morning and got there before everybody else, so fair play to Tony. But I think Minding, she's a different class, Bruce. She really is. I think she'd walk the 2,000 guineas if she ran it. So 4 to 11, it's not the price to be playing with. But I think Turret Rocks could be the one to follow her home. I thought 10 to 1 earlier on in the week when Minding wasn't going to run. I thought that was a big price. It looks a ridiculous price now, but I think she could be still in the first 3, Turret Rocks.
Jolly good. And Kills, I guess all the each-way thieves will be out in force again, having backed Ortad to back now or never each way.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, she'd be pushed out to a reasonable price. But, here's one for you bookies. You fall over yourselves to offer prices for the Derby for horses that aren't entered and aren't going to run. And here's a horse running in the 1,000 guineas that's always been entered and is going to run.
Yeah,
how do you explain that? You've got an absolute skinner anti-pose, haven't you? Because you've had a 4 to 11 chance parachuted in.
Yeah, we might have to do something with those. We might have to do something with those anti-posts. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, we thought we were doing punters a favour, like when we didn't put.
I don't really blame you because obviously nobody really did think she was going to win. I just thought it's kind of funny that you will quote horses
Indeed,
that definitely
indeed.
aren't going to
This
run
is-
in another race.
This is an omni-shambles. Yeah.
Anyway, what I would do is I would look at the betting without, and I would take a chance at a massive price on Mick Shannon's Sabo. Now, she absolutely hated the fast ground at York last time. I'm not having that as her run at all. She needs to improve dramatically, but I think she might sneak into the frame at a huge price in the betting without.
Blimey, I'm hearing Mick Shannon cropping up a lot.
Mick Shannon's going to have some weekend. My God.
Isn't
And
he?
didn't he win it with Samatar, Paul?
He did, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have we got any betting without yet, Brendan?
Can I see that? No, not yet. We've only just adjusted to this minding bombshell, but we'll have that up this afternoon.
Okay. Brendan, presumably there'll be all sorts of specials. How far will minding win and all that kind of thing? If you were minded to try and give your customers a leg up and help to win money with you, thus no doubt marmalising your end-of-year bonus, who would you tell them to back?
Minding, just keep it simple.
But this is a man who's never ever ever backed anything under 2-1.
Okay, well no, just like me, just go to the races, get up early. You have to go there early, whatever. Just get there and go and see beautiful filly Minding strutting her stuff at the Curragh.
Oh, I see, a race to savour rather than bet on, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, the 2:30 is the Gallinule Stakes. And who's going to win this, Paul Keeley? I've got a tip for you, by the way, chaps. Keep an eye out for a guy called Aidan O'Brien, who's won 8 of the last 10 runnings. He was second in the other 2 years, and I think he's got 4 of the 8 entries in this, so just bear that in mind.
This race is just really messy to me. It's not one I'm going to play in at all. I'd imagine Houses of Parliament will go quite close, but again, I just don't know. It's not my sort of race.
Can you get excited about it, David?
Absolutely not. No, I presume Ryan, I haven't seen the jockey bookings. I presume he'd be on Beacon Rock, who's rated 108, but maybe he's not. I don't know.
Shall we move on to the Tattersalls Gold Cup instead at 3:40? Let's
Yes.
do that. And Brendan, give us a show of betting.
Yes, certainly.
Good race, this, isn't it? We've got some old favourites making their reappearance, but also a
This is
very,
probably as
very
good a
strong
Tattersalls
favourite.
Gold Cup as we've had for a long while, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's the best race of the flat season so far.
That's not saying much, but still.
That's right. I mean, it's normally like a 3 or 4 run race with a 5 on shot, isn't it? This is a proper race.
But yeah, Curragh aficionados are in for some heady stuff this weekend. This
They
race,
certainly
4 to 5 Found, 7 to 2 Fascinating Rock, 9 to 2 The Grey Gatsby, 6 to 1 Time Test, 33's Bar.
I was hoping you were going to go the Grey Gatsby.
Well,
then.
I had a thought about this actually.
That would have been great. Never mind. Save that for the next time a horse that officially begins with the runs. David Jennings, I presume you're going to tip Fascinating Rock. You love a DK World, don't you?
I let the head rule the heart here. I think betting wise, I think there's too much between Found and Fascinating Rock in the market. So I don't think there's as much ability wise between the pair as the betting suggests. But I do think Found will win. So it's a bit of a contradiction, really. I thought she looked better than ever the last day. I really did. I know it was Fascinating Rock's first run of the season, but she hammered him. She really did, and she travelled like a dream. She looked $1 million that day, and while I think odds on in a race like this, it's bonkers to be back, and I still think she's the most likely winner.
Okay, Kills, who do you like?
Yeah, she probably is the most likely winning, but like Dave said, there is too much between those two in the betting because she'd had a run and he hadn't, and I think that does make a hell of a difference. I mean, if she'd have run first time up, she'd have been beaten a mile, wouldn't she? Because she was beaten in a much worse race. So he's fully entitled to come on. The Grey Gatsby is a horse I've gone on and off over the years. He's got loads and loads of talent, but it's just whether he's going to produce it. I would give your each way bet is Time Test, I think, because he's the one that could still be improving quite dramatically. He was running in handicaps at this time of year, winner of course of the London Gold Cup, last week's big handicap. So. I would give him a shot. He's not a million miles off him, and there's more to come from him. A bit like Alcazim, who really did progress for Roger Tarleton year on year. And
Brennan, how about you?
Yes, I would sort of agree with the lads. I think Found will win, but the gap between Found and Time Test looks enormous to me. He had the Time boys really pouring after Ascot last year. So be interested to see how he goes this year.
Will you have an each way sneaky on Time Test, do you think, Brendan?
Could you actually look a bookmaker in the eyes and have an each way bet here? This is dirty stuff. I don't know.
Yes, I could.
All right, okay, right. Well, I'll have to see. But
and at 3:40, how many pints in will you be Or do you not drink at the races?
Don't drink at the races. Don't mix business and pleasure.
Good man, good man. Excellent. What about anything else on? I'm sounding like Jim Bolger there.
Bruce,
good
did
man,
you see
not
what's
having a
running?
drink.
Did you see what's running at 4:45?
Surely not Kitten Rock.
No, getting rough. I can't even believe you remembered the name. No, a certain
etched in
mayor,
my mind, isn't it? You never.
a certain mayor that I laughed at when you told me you were backing it in Punchestown. I
Jenny's
laughed
Jewel,
at you.
that's right, yeah.
Jenny's Jewel. Bruce
Yeah.
Millington backed this at like 50-1, and it looked like it was going to win
She
over the
almost
lad.
won, didn't she? Yeah. Oh, I'll have to have a bit on Jenny's Jewel. David, give us one more on the card there.
Yeah, there's one I like. I think it could be still improving in the 4:10 birthplace for Joseph O'Brien and Anna O'Brien. Won at Clonmel last time. It's rattled up the ratings, but I still think there's plenty more improvement to come. Anna actually gets on really well with it. She seems to have the key to it, and I think birthplace will be very hard to beat in the 4:10.
Okay, lovely stuff. Thank you very much, chaps. Hope you have a great weekend, folks, and we're back on Monday to review it all.
The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They pay more extra places than any other bookie.